Oi troops, good morning, good afternoon and good evening. Happy Tuesday, I hope it's going well for you. To cut to the chase, allegedly The Sims 5 is going to be coming out sometime. Allegedly, going to be saying allegedly a lot because I don't want to get in any legal trouble. The rumour of Sims 5 coming about has been doing its rounds for the past wee while now. I've had plenty of time to reflect on my time as a simmer and just kind of think about what I would like to see in The Sims 5. I have indeed played all 4 of the current Sims games plus all the My Sims ones, so I feel like I know enough about the franchise to say my piece on it, and I did come up with quite a lot of things that I would like to see and that I wouldn't like to see, but for the game's alleged namesake, I've narrowed it down to 5. To cut out all this faffing about, here they are, the top 5 things that better be in The Sims 5, otherwise I will be absolutely raging. I would also just like to state that all of these opinions are my own, they are just opinions. I don't want to seem like I'm tearing the other 4 games down. I love all 4 games for different reasons. I don't mean to bash the work of the Sims team or EA. I do really love these games. That's why I'm being so critical about it, because I want The Sims 5 to be the best it can be considering the recent slip-ups for The Sims 4. I'm also going to be trying to keep any comparisons and footage which I show you as base game as possible, unless I specifically mention an expansion pack, just because I feel like the best way to compare them all is to just look at the base game. Anyway, without further ado, it's time for numero uno, going back to the original timeline. For those of you who are watching who are not quite familiar with the Sims franchise, 3 of the 4 games make up the original timeline. Chronologically, that goes Sims 3, Sims 1, Sims 2. Sims 4 is off in its own wee world. Putting The Sims 4 in its own timeline means that all of the lore and the history built up over the past 3 games, and 2 whole decades by the way, was completely stripped back for this minimalist approach. I can also kind of see why they did it. Putting it in a separate timeline means that you can use the same people and figures, but the Sims team wouldn't have the restrictions of the previous timeline in the previous game, so they could have complete creative freedom, and I would be alright with that if they did something better with it. But they took some of the old iconic families, shot them in, and gave them no new substance. To quote our Lord and Saviour Plumbella, I am a half a law. I would like to see a return of said lore. I don't know if that's just my inner ancient historian coming out and I want to delve into the history and find out all the mysteries, blah blah blah. I just feel like that was a big miss. So much of the Sims audience is older players who played 1 through 3, who, to be honest, are part of the audience that's kind of getting kicked to the curb a wee bit. So much of The Sims 4 is aimed towards bringing in new players, and I understand that to keep the thingy alive. I just feel like there should be more for those of us who've been playing it for longer, because it's like you just scrapped everything that we love about your game to make this new one. Don't get me wrong, I do like The Sims 4, it does have good qualities, but I just think that we should return to the original timeline with Sims 5. To be honest, I mainly want to go back to the original timeline because I need to find out what happened to Bella Goth. I need to know. This has been, well, I've been playing The Sims since I was like 7, 8, 12 years of my life. I've been wanting to find out what happened to that woman. That's my main thing about The Sims 4, is that it scrapped all of that lore and history and just said, you're not going to find out. Anyway, I got a wee bit heated about Bella Goth there. I apologise. Returning to the original timeline would also mean for The Sims 5 that the Sims team would have no excuse to ignore the original icons. I'm talking the tragic clown, I'm talking the crumple bottoms, I'm talking Sim Shrink, I'm talking the social bunny, and of course the one and only Bonehilda. Not every single one of these characters is in every single one of the games, but they're at least referenced. And for me, when I think about The Sims, these are the kind of things that I think about. The icons that have survived through all of the games and have their own lore and their own history behind them, which again, for The Sims 4 has been completely cut out, except for maybe cow plants. The Sims 5, I'd like to return to the original timeline and continue from where we left off, and just pretend that the whole alternative universe thing did not happen. Numero dos. Open world-ish. See, from The Sims 3 to The Sims 4, there was a massive drastic change. The Sims 3 was completely open world, to its demise, to be honest. Sims 3 was way ahead of its time. The fact that it was open world was absolutely brilliant, but it also meant that the game had a lot of lag issues and a lot of just playability issues. So they went from The Sims 3, complete open world, can go anywhere you want. You could literally have your family on one side of the map and you could go and watch Sims on the other side of the map. It was intense. But they went from that all the way to Sims 4, which scaled it all back until it was literally like Sims 1 again. You go to your house, you go to your neighbour's house. Even though you can see it on the map, your sim leaves the house. Loading screen to get into the house. Now, I am not actually bothered about going back to complete 100% Sims 3 open world. What I would suggest is actually taking the Sims 4 version and tweaking it a wee bit for the Sims 5. The Sims 4 map is separated into a couple different sections. In my mind, what I think would be best for the Sims 5, I mean, I'm no professional, but I think I know what I'm talking about a little bit. Your sim can freely move in that one section as if it's an open world. If they want to go to the centre of town and go to the library or the art gallery or whatever's in the town, they have to go through a loading screen to get there. But once they're in the centre of town, they can go between the buildings as much as they want without a loading screen happening. So it's kind of semi-open world within the sectors, with only requiring loading screens when going to a different part of the map or when going to a different map altogether. I think that would be very beneficial, allowing Sims to have more free movement, but also minimising the chance of these Sims 3 lag and playability issues with the open world. Another feature for the maps that I would like to see, one that's mainly from The Sims 2. Sims 4 is a very rigid map. You can't add any lots or take away any lots. You just have to deal with the map that you're given, but you can't place lots individually where you want them to go. The Sims 2 had the create a world button, which is my favourite aspect. This basically allowed you to pick a map, name your world whatever you want, pick the terrain, go in, and you could place any lot you want, any decorations you want. You could place shells, you could place road signs. It got down to really nitty gritty, like each path you can place and stuff. There was a lot that you could do there. And also within placing these lots, you could place ones that were pre-built, or you could place empty lots and literally build your own entire town from the ground up. They never had that in Sims 3. I can't remember if they had that in Sims 1, if they allowed you to place lots. I think they did, but I'm not sure. But then Sims 4 completely eradicated all that. Don't really know why. But that's something that I would also like to see make a return in The Sims 5. If not entirely creating your own world, at least being able to freely place lots wherever you want and build those lots. Numero 3. Create a sim improvements. I've got 2 points for this one, 2 main points, and I'm going to save the big biggie for the second one. But the first one is the traits menu. To be honest, I feel like most of my comparison is going to be The Sims 3 and The Sims 4. I think the main issue is that we went from The Sims 3 to The Sims 4 and it was such a drop in gameplay and like options. And I'm going to exemplify that with traits. The Sims 3 was the game out of the entire franchise that allowed you to have the most individual Sims. They had body sliders for weights and skin tones. Basically every option had a slider and a colour wheel. So the possibilities were endless. They also had the stuff for clothes that allowed you to pick any pattern, any material, or any colour that you wanted. So it really went above and beyond and was ahead of its time, in my opinion. You could even have your favourite food, your favourite colour, your favourite... You can even go as far as to pick your Sim's favourite food, their favourite colour, their favourite type of music, and their star sign, which they could actually tell other Sims, and then that would increase or decrease their relationship with them and affect their relationship. The list of traits for the base game was so long. There was so many options, and I think you could pick like 5 or 6. And then in the future, if you went to uni, I think you unlocked an extra 1 or 2 trait slots, so you could have even more of a personality. And the aspirations, you could do absolutely anything you wanted because you had rabbit holes. The options were endless. With each expansion pack, they would then add on more traits and more aspirations. They were kind of spoilt for choice. Yes, all of these options did come with a lot of lag and issues for The Sims 3. Like I said, The Sims 3 was ahead of its time. I do think that if The Sims 5 was The Sims 3 remastered, I think that in 2020, today's computers could handle it a lot better, but at the time it was just too much for the software that we all had. When Sims 4 came out with their list of traits for the base game and aspirations, it was a wee bit of a slap in the face, not gonna lie to you. We went from having such a broad menu where we could make such individual Sims to being limited again. Base game, they had a decent amount, it wasn't too bad. It's more the fact that as time went on and The Sims 4 released expansion pack after expansion pack, we didn't get very many new aspirations. We didn't get very many new traits. The new things that we did get were basically just tutorials for the new gameplay included within the new pack. There just wasn't enough considering what we had been spoiled with the game before. So suddenly all of these layers of individuality and replayability that we had were completely eradicated once again eradicated in favour of minimalism, which was not the tea. I will say minimalism is the real man behind the curtain of the whole issue that I'm having. And yes, I've seen the Twitter arguments all about, oh, Sims 2 had even less aspirations and less traits, and The Sims 1 practically didn't have any. The point is, Sims 1 had nothing, Sims 2 made it better, Sims 3 made that even better, and then from Sims 3 to Sims 4 it was a massive drop in quality. That's another recurring theme here. So for The Sims 5, I would like to have that individuality back. I could go on about Create a Sim for hours, literally hours. The time has come to discuss the big point, which recently, actually, the Sims team has actually kind of amended. Skin tones. I'm going to talk a little bit about skin tones. I'm sure if you're in the Sims community, you're probably sick of hearing about it, and I know that Sims 4's had the update now where it's kind of been fixed, but I just want to put my 2 pence in and say that it's 2020. I don't think that the skin tone issue should have been an issue in the first place, especially considering, like I mentioned before, the Sims 3 sliders and colour wheels. I don't want to go into it too much, but I just wanted to say that in this day and age, that should not have been an issue in the first place. I am glad that they fixed it, but it shouldn't have been an issue in the first place, and it shouldn't have taken them as long as it did to fix it and address it. So for The Sims 5, I would suggest from the get-go going back to the original sliders and colour wheel option for skin tones and hair colour as well. Numero 4. Furniture swatch improvements. I don't know why, but the swatches in The Sims 4 furniture menus in buy mode just don't really do it for me. For example, we'll look at beds. You find a swatch and you like the bed sheet, but the pillow is the complete opposite colour theme. And then the wood of the bed frame, or whatever material your bed frame is, doesn't match the colour of your bedside table, or your wardrobe, or your shelves. It just completely mismatches. There's just little bits that don't quite match up. I like to have the complete matching set. Everything looks brilliant. I do also believe though that The Sims 3 gave us a bit too much freedom with the customs thing, having everything the same pattern, same material, same colour. It caused a lot of issues with the game. That's another thing that caused the lag. In The Sims 1, you had no colour changing whatsoever. You just had one thing, that was you. If you wanted a red bed sheet, that was your one bed that was red. Everything else was entirely different. So I'm suggesting for The Sims 5, we go back to something more similar to The Sims 2. When you clicked on an object that you wanted in your room, you had multiple options. You could pick the colour of the bed sheet that you wanted, and it would give you stock ones and stock patterns. Above it or below it, they would give you a separate option for the bed frame. I think that was just a really good point of giving people the individual creative freedom but keeping a limit on it, whereas then The Sims 3 you could customise stuff within an inch of its life. So I think for The Sims 5 it'd be nice to go back to the Sims 2 version, maybe a couple more options here and there, but not nearly as much as The Sims 3. If they do want to go back to the Sims 3 version, that would also be nice, but I do think the Sims 2 buy mode menu is the perfect sweet spot for individuality and limited options. And finally, the biggie, numero 5. More life. Yes, more life. It's a life simulator. The Sims 4 I find is completely boring. Sims 4 build mode, great. All I do in The Sims 4 is build, and to not play with families anymore. I used to be a big family game player, but The Sims 4 is just watered down millennial simulator. It just feels too easy. It's a life simulator, but there's no life in it. And I'm not trying to say that they need to make it nitty gritty, and I get that they probably don't want to upset anyone, but that doesn't mean that you need to cut out the emergency services to do so. Here is a lot of things that have actually been pulled from the games that I can think of just at the top of my head, which would be considered parts of everyday life. Family gameplay, for one. Emergency services. Crime. Also transport. I just think The Sims 4's missed the mark on a lot of things and pulled a lot of aspects of life out of a life simulator, taking the difficulty and thus the enjoyability out of the game. I have not had so many of the more negative aspects of life happen to my Sims in The Sims 4 other than dying of old age. I don't think that's just me playing safe. I don't use cheats, I don't use CC, I don't use mods or anything. And not even difficult. It doesn't need to be difficult, it just needs to be a wee bit more challenging. So for The Sims 5, I would like to see a return of all of the aspects of life that have been sucked out of The Sims 4. I don't mind if they do it like, here's base game, we've got careers expansion, here's all your emergency services, here's all your vehicles in one pack. I don't care if they do it like that, as long as it gets in there eventually. Including these things back in will just give more variety to the game, more individuality again, and make sure the game doesn't hit one flat note. In conclusion, I would like the Sims team to draw more reference from previous games that they've already got behind them. Think about exactly who their audience actually is and who their main player base actually is, not who they want it to be. They can learn a lot from the past 4 games and take the best bits of each one to create one epic Sims 5 base game. Base games are usually lackluster. That's the point. They want you to buy the expansions. The Sims 4 base game was too lackluster and we're still trying to argue for stuff in the game. So for Sims 5, they should just hit all these points that we've already said for the Sims 4 and just have them in from the get-go to avoid that backlash. And then when they bring out new expansions, we'll want to buy them even more because we want to expand our game. We're not buying expansions because we think the base game is so rubbish that we need the next expansion to actually make it good, and we want the Sims game to do better. I would also like to point out that yes, The Sims 4 is the most successful Sims game in the franchise in terms of sales, but The Sims 4 is very frequently put on Origin for free, and then all of the expansions are then discounted so that they're less than a £5. And I do just genuinely want The Sims 5 to do the best that it can. I don't want it to be rubbish. I don't want to waste money on it just to be disappointed again by EA. The Sims 5 has a lot riding on it. It's got to have high hopes for a living. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 things that I would like to see in The Sims 5. Thank you so very much for watching. Let me know in the comments exactly how you feel about the alleged Sims 5 release. Just let me know your opinion on the matter. There are links in the box below to all of my social media, including my Sneak Elite and my Discord, where you can join, and if you would like to speak more about The Sims or anything for that matter, hop along and say hi. We're all very friendly and nice. Leave a like and please hit subscribe if you have not already. If you've made it this far, you might as well. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday.